What's going on, everybody? B. Scott, I'm here with
Godzilla.
And on today's show, we're going to be going over the Thursday night football matchup between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Should be a good matchup to be going through. And then also, we're going to be talking a little bit about the NFC East. Just the state in which it is. Obviously, Dallas looking unbelievable, and the other teams kind of
sucking,
muddling together. Yeah, of course. So keep it locked and loaded right here at the first 4 downs.
You know what it is. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. B. Scott, G.O.D. here, and we're going over the NFC East, and we talk about the Thursday night football matchup. So before we get to today's content, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff, and then comment. You got any questions or disregards to whatever we say about the NFC East, drop in the comment section.
Yeah.
We'll be glad to explain it in further detail for you. And then, of course, fantasy. If you have any fantasy relevant questions, we have all the videos on the channel. You can find it. Hit the Instagram, all that good stuff. And, so let's dive right into it, plain and simple. We're going to start with the NFC East recap. We'll start at the bottom. That's the New York Football Giants.
We're scraping the bottom right now.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So, Daniel Jones, concussion. Lots of injuries loaded with, plain and simple. Saquon Barkley. Kadarius Toney is a bright spot going forward for them. But, man, this team is just not going to be able to get it done this season, plain and simple. 1-4. And the defense, where we expected it to be okay, is looking as old as we thought it is on paper, plain and simple. They got a lot of older veterans that are starting to deteriorate.
Yeah, when you get these kind of guys, you know what I'm saying, and you paid for these kind of guys.
Yeah.
You typically get what you pay for, you know what I mean? Bradbury, these guys have been blowing a lot of coverages, and you look at the offensive side of the ball, they're only averaging 20 points a game. That's not even 3 touchdowns right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to be in a division where, defenses are not necessarily dominant outside of Dallas right now, you know what I mean? But they are averaging a little bit more points. You look at Philly and Washington averaging like 23, 24 points a game. And, of course, Dallas just sitting up there doing what they do, you know what I mean? 34 points a game pretty much. You got to be able to compete. You got to be able to keep up. You got to be able to win football games, Saquon Barkley goes down again with another injury. Who knows how long this one will be. They're talking about this is a lower ankle injury, but that watermelon that was on his ankle, I mean, that's scary to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, questionable with a concussion. That's no surprise behind the worst offensive line in football. So, what can they really do going forward? Because, you look at all these guys, and you're averaging a low points, and the plays are coming from Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
And we've seen this time and time again, you know what I mean? There's terrible plays in terrible spots, and this team is just not coached effectively the way a playoff team should be. And that's the reason why I say they're at the bottom of the barrel, I mean, this is the Big Apple, and they're surely playing like the rotten of the bunch.
Yeah, of course. I'll tell you right now. The injuries are just adding up. They had all the talent in the world, all on
Especially
paper.
the wide receiver corps.
That's what I'm saying. Kenny Golladay, looking like he's going to miss some time with a hyperextended knee. Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, looks like they'll be back and healthy, but honestly without Daniel Jones, Mike Glennon, and Devontae Booker, and these guys behind a bad offensive line, like you said, and the defense just hasn't made enough plays.
Yeah, they're not stopping nobody, man.
It's not going to be pretty for the New York Giants, plain and simple.
Top 5 pick next year.
Yeah, it's obvious. So we can move on to the Washington football team. In my opinion, was actually a shock that the defense looked so bad.
Huge disappointment, considering where they came from last year.
Yeah.
They were shutting everything down, and I think that they should probably get off that high horse a little bit and understand that you guys are not playing well at all.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know what it's going to take for them to, even on the run, they're giving up the run.
They did feast on bad quarterback play last year, don't get me wrong, especially in that division.
Yeah, they did play a lot of subpar teams last year, and they weren't a 500 team, but they still made the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that defense was still shutting people down.
Yes.
Against bad teams this year, they're not very good.
No.
And I don't understand what the difference is. This is not a Ron Rivera defense that I'm accustomed to seeing. So I just don't know what they can actually do to fix it, to be honest with you. Like I said, teams are running all over them, passing the ball all over them. I mean, do they even have a defense?
No.
Kyle Fuller don't look like, a great addition at this point. You know what I mean? And so you wonder why, the Chicago Bears let him go. Offensively, they look okay under Heineke.
Yeah, not bad.
Heineke is not scared to throw the ball there. And what people have to realize, though, this is pretty much his first year because last year we only seen him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he has a lot of time to grow. And next year, maybe there'll be a better offense, but Antonio Gibson's still giving them the blues, even though he's been on the injury report week in and week out so far in the season.
Yeah, of course. Taylor Heineke, I worry about him turning the ball over a little too much. Don't get me wrong, he's got to clean that up a little bit. But honestly, he's trying to shoot it out with a lot of these teams anyway because that defense is just, here, you want a touchdown? You want a touchdown? Go ahead. You know?
Everybody gets a touchdown.
I'm telling you, it's almost like they're waving that red, the red flag, waiting for that guy to just run on by. It's like, oh, there you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in question with Washington, but they really need to figure out the defense because offensively, like you just said, they can spread it out with anybody.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Terry McLaurin is good.
Yeah.
Honestly, they signed Curtis Samuel. He's been out of the lineup plain and simple. Diami Brown hasn't really been a thing yet. Logan Thomas on IR. So they've had some injuries to the offense a little bit. But still, it's like that defense is really what's costing these games. And Taylor Heineke's doing his best to put it together. Honestly, he's played pretty well, considering. Honestly, if you think about rookie quarterbacks, yes, it's his second year, right, or something like that. But either way, he's playing very well in the starts that he's got.
Yeah.
Considering how many starts he has had. And that defense is just not holding up for him. And the Washington football team is going to be a long season for them.
Yeah, and that's the difference between being a good football team and a bad football team. Even when things are going wrong, you have to find a way to adapt and get things back on track. Whatever your core brand is, that's what you should be running. And they need to figure that out fast before the season is out of their reach.
Yeah, of course. 2-3 at the Washington football team, and it's not looking pretty going forward.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles, we'll get to them after the Dallas Cowboys, obviously. But we'll start at Dallas right now, 4-1.
Rock stars.
Honestly, it's unreal coming into the season how well balanced their team is. That's the best way I could describe it. And then on top of that, Dan Quinn has their defense making plays. Now, yes, they're giving up some points. They're giving up yards, things like that. But when they need big plays, it's happening.
Yeah.
2+ interceptions every single game. Trayvon Diggs, I'm telling you, he's out there baiting quarterbacks. Like, oh, I'll give him 5 yards just so I can catch up and intercept the ball. I watched the play against the Giants. It was unreal. Like, he literally slowed down on purpose, like waiting for the quarterback to throw the ball, and then just sped up for the interception.
Hey, and it's so crazy, right? When your brother is Stephon Diggs and you train with him in the offseason, it's no problem.
Yeah.
I'm covering everybody. You look what he did to Mike Evans in the first game. Completely shut him out of anything that he could possibly do. And this is a big guy, 6'5". His catch radius is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Completely clowned him. You know what I mean? I love the way this defense is playing. Even giving rid of Jaylen Brown, they're addressing areas where players are underperforming, players are not leaders, and they're getting rid of these guys. But, you know, you look into the future where you got DeMarcus Lawrence and guys coming back to that defensive line. Man, what's going to stop these guys? You know what I mean? They're already averaging 34 points a game. They only lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneer world champion team out there that they got with Tom Brady, who's playing out of his mind at the crisp age of 98. You know what I'm
Might
saying?
as well be.
I mean, what can stop him? You look at Ezekiel Elliott. I told you, man, he came in the offseason looking great, looking in shape. He's making this offense, him and Tony Pollard, on the ground, very effective in making his team overall really balanced on offense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No Michael Gallup in the lineup, no problem. You know what I'm saying? On limited snaps, we've seen Cedric Wilson get open on plays. Dalton Schultz has emerged as a monster. To be short about
Unreal.
You look at the matchups that they got going forward. Amari Cooper, you know what I'm saying? Opened the season with 18 targets, has 17 since, been nursing a hamstring injury, but he's not been on the injury report this far into the week, you know what I mean, in week 6. So there's just a lot more that they can do to improve, which is scary.
Yes.
By far, they're the kings of this division, and they're going to win this division hands down.
Yeah, of course. 4-1 at the moment. Honestly, just been on a roll, especially on offense. The defense, I already talked about making plays when they need to, getting the turnovers. You want to win football games. You don't necessarily need a dominant defense, but if you have a turnover defense, they can get your offense the ball. That's more scoring opportunities. You see it. They're just flat out able. They're just getting it done on the
other
ground.
side. Even on the other side of Diggs, Brown playing out of his mind too. You know what I'm saying? It's like they shutting everything down that's coming over there. And let's not forget about Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
He playing with a different type of motor. This kid is different. And, the sky's the limit for the Dallas
I'm
Cowboys.
telling you, I'm glad that they drafted him going in because
what I mean?
honestly, Michael Parsons was the guy that they were worried about. Like, Does he fit where they need him? Because honestly, the Cowboys already had 5 linebackers and whatever.
Yeah.
Guess what? Now he's on the line, rushing the DN, and he's getting it done, making
Rookie,
plays.
taking spots, trade this player.
Yeah, of course. So Dallas Cowboys, it's obvious to say they're going to win the division, plain and
Yeah.
simple. Just looking forward, they have one of the most, honestly, in their power ranking, they're right there close to the top 5.
Yeah, if you look at the top 5 that's in there that we got, Arizona, Buffalo, Baltimore, L.A. Rams, Tampa Bay. Can these teams really beat them? I mean, Tampa Bay beat them, like, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
already, but they in there in the mix with all these guys. So, how about them boys?
I'm telling you, it's unreal.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. So we'll move on. We got a Thursday night matchup. We'll get into the Philly talk anyway, but Tampa Bay on the road against Philadelphia. Tampa Bay -7, 52.5 over under. And Philadelphia is just a Jekyll and Hyde team, in my opinion, man. You just don't know who's going to show up. Honestly, the defense played outstanding last week against Carolina offense. Turned Sam Darnold over 3 times, wreaked some havoc on that offensive line for Carolina, and they pulled out a huge win that they needed to get, to be honest, because Carolina's defense is very good. So the Philadelphia Eagles, sitting at 2-3 in this division, I don't see them beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, and I think they're just going to be too far out of reach to catch the Dallas Cowboys going forward. I think the Eagles are probably an 8-win team, something like that. I really think they still have a lot of pieces on offense. They have a defense that makes plays at times, but plays bad at times. It's one of these teams that's just, like I said, Jekyll and Hyde. Who's going to show up? And that's not a good thing going forward to win a lot of football games.
To me, the Philadelphia Eagles, like you said, are Jekyll and Hyde. And I think that the reason of that is because of the offensive play calling and being a team with a new quarterback and a new offense, period. They don't really have an identity of who they are yet. You look at a couple weeks ago where we had Miles Sanders with 2 carries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a career low for the team since their inception. You know what I mean? And you look at Miles Sanders last week, 75% of the snaps. So, that is trending a certain way, but they don't know what they really want to do with the running back position. And then in that time, Kenny Gainwell was doing a lot. Last week, he was unexistent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things to be had there on offense, but what is consistent so far is Jalen Hurts. The guy's a playmaker. He can hit these targets. He can get these guys. Now, the defensive side, they're playing pretty good. They got pretty good coverage. You know what I'm saying? But in the matchup, we'll talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Against that kind of team, I don't know how long they'll be able to stand up against these 3 wideouts. But, on the season, I don't know if that defense is dominant enough to carry them to a division title. I just really don't see that happening in year 1 of Nick Sirianni. And I think, him as well as a coach, you have to have better playmaking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I seen one game where, you had Jalen Hurts extending on an RPO, which he can't extend on because if you do extend on this RPO, you got an ineligible man down the field. There's certain little ticks and tacks to the offense that they have not got completely learned yet. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And I think that's really what it's going to be. If they play out, in the second half of the season and they really get it and they really start coming together, I think they could be a powerhouse team. They really can because the defense is pretty good. You know what I mean? Can they shut a team completely down? I'm not sure, but they can make a lot of plays and stop guys where it needs to be effective at. But can the offense be a top burner offense considering Dallas is just top 5?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, really, I think that's just what you see in Philly in a nutshell. And you look at Philly as we get into this matchup. 0-2 at home on the season. They play pretty well on the road. But can they handle this Tampa Bay front that's coming in here?
Yeah, I don't think so. Obviously, the Tampa Bay secondary is absolutely horrible. I think they'll be able to hang around in this game. But to be honest, Philly does have one of the youngest receiving corps in football.
Yeah,
we know this.
True.
They're 3 starting receivers. Jalen Rager's the oldest one at year 2. You know what I mean? So
it might as well be his year 1.
Yeah, of course. So I think, honestly, their offense as a whole is pretty young.
Yeah.
Has a lot of talent, especially going forward. Jalen Hurts just has to grow in the offense.
They just got to put it together.
The defense, they need to get a little younger on defense going forward. I think in a couple years, Philly's going to be a huge force to reckon with because they do have the younger team.
I see it.
Especially on the offensive side. So, but going into this matchup, and really Philly is going to struggle mightily, period. But going into the matchup, they'll be able to move the football, in my opinion, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The secondary's been just bad and just decimated with injuries. And then, obviously, Levante David being out of here. That hurts that center. He's the core. I mean, he makes the tackles, plain and simple, in the middle. Yeah. They got another guy named Devin White. Yeah. He's pretty good, too, So
they all been starting off slow a little bit, you know what I mean? Jason Pierre-Paul back into this mix. I don't know. I think they're going to give them a little bit of trouble.
They will. The offensive line of Philly has not looked good. Plain and simple, they played good in spurts, but honestly, they've been letting guys walk on by. Jalen Hurts has been running for his life a little bit. But I still think they can hang in this game. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, dealing with a thumb sprain. I mentioned it. Obviously, within a game, a football game, a lot of players get hurt and really play through it because of adrenaline. It happens right away, and you know that you got 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour left. Whereas you give it a couple of days off of rest, it starts to blow up, starts to swell. You got to deal with things like that. Now, not to say Brady's going to struggle at all. He had 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. Philly's secondary is really their little bit of strength, albeit because Brandon Graham, going down with injury, really decimated that front line of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bucs are going to be able to score, but I think Philly could hang in this game a little bit. And so the 7 points for me is just large. Tampa Bay, we saw on the road, kind of struggled a little bit against New England. Now, I know there was a lot of emotions in that game. Yeah. We knew the weather played a factor, but 7 points is kind of large for me. If I was to bet it, for me, I would take the money line for sure because I don't see Philly beating Tampa Bay as the safe play. I think Philly could hang in this game, especially with a 7 point.
I'm going to tell you why I'm taking the spread.
Okay.
I'm going to take Tampa Bay with the 7. Can Philadelphia play 4 quarters of football?
No, they can't. They can play 2 quarters, and it's usually the last 2, and they tend to get back into games and sometimes win them.
Yeah, this is the problem. But against the San Francisco 49ers, we've seen them, in the first half, neck and neck with the San Francisco 49ers, giving up plays on 4th and goal, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Can you execute every quarter? You're going to have to do that against the team because you got a man over there behind the center. When it's 4th quarter, I don't care how much you're down, he's going to come back. He's going to keep driving. You know what I'm saying? These Tampa Bay Buccaneers play 4 quarters of football.
I can agree with that. I played against Tom Brady in fantasy last week and was wondering why they were up 17 points and Brady's out there throwing bombs to Mike Evans. Come on, man, the game's over. Just hand it off. Run the clock out.
No, we coming. We coming for that MVP. We coming for the Super Bowl. That's what we want to do, Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? Can these young Philadelphia Eagles play 4 quarters of football? That's what's going to decide it. I think obviously they lose this game. Can they come within 7? I don't think so. Okay. You know what I mean? Are they going to score a lot? Yes. I think
52.5 over under.
I think they should put up 17 to 20 points. Easy. Maybe 21 points. But Tampa Bay just going to keep coming, man. I think this is a real prime spot for Leonard Fournette to just take over this game. I love what they've been doing with Leonard Fournette. A lot of carries, a lot of pass work. Ronald Jones is pretty much existing at this point. Then you got AB looking like AB. And like you said, Mike Evans. Godwin is due for a big game.
Can you cover this
for four quarters? I don't think this is going to happen. I'm taking Tampa Bay -7.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to take the money line. I would take the money line, but to be honest, I will take Philly at +7 because I think they might be able to hang in this game just a little bit. You got to worry about Tom Brady and thumb sprain. It was wrapped in his conference.
That is
you know
true.
What I'm saying? So that honestly, a little tweak like that, especially to a quarterback that it's so routine for him, it could cause some problems. So I'm going to take Philly in the 7 department. I think I'm going to take the over just because if Miami can score 17 points, I think the Eagles could double that because Miami got 17 points. So, the Eagles going to get 24 points probably, but I think Tampa Bay's probably going to be in the 35 range if you're looking at the +7. So I'll throw a score out there right now.
Especially if we throw a defensive touchdown in there because we know Jalen Hurts tends to, give a couple turnovers again.
Yeah, of course. So, 34-28 Tampa Bay. Large scoring game because the defense is no defense in this one. Okay. And that'll cover the spread. That gives me the 6 points for Philadelphia.
That's what's up.
All right. So anyway, that's been the NFC East recap, I'm sorry. And then obviously we're going over the Thursday Night Football matchup, giving you our predictions of the game. So once again, if you like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff. And then comment If you didn't like what we said or whatever you want to say about the NFC East, I'm okay with it. Drop in the comment section. We'll be glad to give you our opinions and talk back.
Yeah.
So anyway, for the first 4 downs, it's been B. Scott.
Godzilla.
And we out.
Yeah. See you Saturday.